Hey guys, Whitney here, and welcome to another episode of the Ash Wealth Show. I do this show every week to help demystify the investment process for you. So, no matter if you've never purchased real estate before or done any sort of investing, or you have several rentals or investments under your belt, you're in the right place. So maybe you've tried to buy a rental or invest before, but got stuck in analysis paralysis mode and lost your confidence. Or maybe you've invested in a few deals already and hit a ceiling of growth with your portfolio. Or you're just so overwhelmed by all the information out there and you're just plain stuck. If this is you, you're in the right place. You see, I was once like you. Where I am today is not where I've always been. But I started investing in 2002. And this picture right here is the reason why I invest in real estate and other passive investments that generate cash flow appreciation, tax benefits, and all have capital preservation. Those are my four pillars of wealth that I always make sure every single one of my investments can generate. But it wasn't always like that. In 2002, I started off living, flipping, and house hacking, and realized I was really good at getting large chunks of money built up, but I didn't have a strategy on how to unlock those golden handcuffs for myself and for my family so we could actually have not only financial independence and financial freedom, but also time independence and freedom. So just so we could travel the world, spend more time together. And, we all know how the last year has gone, but, for me, that it's been a blessing in disguise because I have gotten to spend so much more time with my family, having my daughter at home, just to actually so we could travel more and just to spend more time as a family unit. But anyways, fast forward though, we've been able to build quite a sizable portfolio with the thing, using the exact same strategies that we teach people within our coaching program. And yeah, this is kind of the tip of the iceberg. We've been able to build a large residential real estate portfolio, commercial real estate portfolio, flipping portfolio. But guys, it's like the iceberg. What you see the tip only points out of the water. What's the base? And that base for us was when we were able to complete those first 30 rehab properties using other people's money, and I mean bank money, in a safe, effective way in order to build our portfolio. That right there, that base, those 30 units are what was able to unlock all the rest of our growth for us. And you know what? We did this all while working a normal job, wife, mother, and taking care of other family members. So I know that's a huge objection for a lot of investors out there. Like, they don't have the time to get started. If I can do it, you can do it too. So I totally understand your pain. So you guys can be anywhere right now, but what makes what I'm going to share today so different? Well, I'm going to share with you what I've learned over 18 years of investing. And really, I'm going to give you a simple roadmap right here that anyone can follow. Now, this is very like 40,000 foot view level. You got to get down in the details in order to be successful. But you have to have, in order to be successful in investing in real estate, you have to have an investing roadmap. You got to know where you're at, where you're going. And I have a roadmap that can get anyone to financial independence in a fraction of the time than if they flew by the seat of their pants and didn't have one in place. Two, once you got that roadmap, now you're getting into investing in order to unlock your time, not to get yourself another job. So you have to think like a business owner, be a CEO of your business, and put in simple, repeatable systems and get the right team around you to execute those systems. And I'll show you how to do that. Then you got to apply scale to your portfolio. Okay, so how can you scale quickly using other people's money? It can be investor money, it can be bank money, but how do you learn how to use other people's money to accelerate your wealth build and theirs? Right? Once you have all three of those key things in place, that is when you get the massive results, okay, like you've seen me achieve. Okay, and you know what? That result is, for me, 100% choice on how I spend my time. Guys, I work hard still, and I love every second of it. And I love spending this time with you, showing you how you can do this for yourself. All right, so let's dive into today's content. Today, we're going to go over how adding value to your project actually helps you protect your capital. You see, when I talk to investors, and a lot of them, especially single family investors, they're like, wow, like I'm going to do a turnkey investment because I think it's less risky. I don't have, to get into as many moving parts and stuff like that. You know, um, there are things to consider here, because actually buying a property below value in the market and adding value to it can actually be a better way of protecting your capital. Okay. Anyways, but even if you buy a turnkey investment, you guys stay here, because you're going to find some different ways that can add value to your project that will help you protect your capital in the project. All right, so first let's kind of like demystify what and why. Okay, when I talk about adding value, it's not just about rehabbing a project. Okay, so you can do light cosmetic, projects on an investment, or you can do tons of development. Going back to cosmetic rehab, maybe you're just redoing the paint, carpet, and light fixtures. Or you're doing more of a development deal where you see the opportunity to add an accessory dwelling unit or an extra unit to the property or more. Then there's also, you can rework the profit and loss statement, so you can actually have an economic rehabilitation on the project. Or adding value can actually mean, how can you add additional streams of income to the project? And we're going to talk more about that. That last lever, adding revenue to a project, is probably more widely executed on the multifamily side of things. But potentially you can do that on the single family side. All right. But again, when you add value to anything, when you're thinking in terms of adding value, what we're trying to do is drive what we call net operating income growth. So simply put, we're trying to increase income, decrease expenses, and add additional streams of income. Those are the three ways you drive what we call net operating income growth. Okay. Now, if you drive NOI growth on a commercial property, a multifamily property, 5 units or more, you are probably going to be rewarded that just by the sheer underwriting metrics of how commercial properties operate. All right. Now, if you've got a 1 to 4 unit, that's considered a residential property. So driving NOI, you're not exactly rewarded for that in the market. Okay. Meaning the way those 1 to 4 unit properties are valued is based on what we call comparable sales. Okay. So essentially that property's value is going to be what the other guy in the market sold his for in the last 6 months. Okay. So this is why, and we'll talk about this in later videos, this is why a lot of people at some point in time jump from single family to multifamily property, sheerly so they can actually drive NOI growth on the property and control the value add on the property, what they get rewarded for on the value add of the property, much more readily. But as we know right now in the market, investors are being rewarded with high asset prices. So you may get rewarded on the the 1 to 4 unit as well. Okay, so let's talk about some ways to add value. One, you can increase income on the property. Okay, maybe you do a cosmetic rehab and move the property closer to market rents. Okay, maybe you can also decrease expenses on the property by looking at the profit and loss statement if it's currently owned by an investor. Some things, kind of low-hanging fruit you can pick to do this is to move property management, find a better deal on property management. Take a look at what vendor contracts are already on the property. Like, is that previous owner paying for lawn maintenance, snow maintenance, maybe utilities? Can any of that be moved back to the tenant, okay, to lower your expenses and outsource that to the tenant, okay? You can also add additional streams of income on the property. Now, adding additional streams of income on the property works really, really well for multifamily buildings, okay, especially 5 units or more. However, it's not that you can't do this on a single family rental. It's just you need to figure out what's competitive in the market. Now, some ways to do this, I'm thinking and looking through the lens on multifamily when I add, say add additional streams of income. Can you do washer and dryer rental units on the property? Can you do covered parking and rent those covered parking stalls out? Do you have storage on the property? Can you rent the storage lockers out? If you have a larger multifamily unit, can you do what we call valet trash? Essentially pay somebody to go, say trash gets put out at 8 a.m. on Friday mornings, and that person just goes and picks up the trash at everybody's doorstep and takes it to the dumpster. That actually, is a win-win both for the tenant, okay, because they don't actually have to take their trash out, and you get a cleaner property. If you have a large multifamily unit, say like 100 units or more, can you add fiber internet to the property? Does it make economic sense to do that so you can capture utility and move it back onto the property? And again, if you get into larger acquisitions and multiple large acquisitions in the same market, can you do, or closely related markets, can you add a brand identity to that unit? So those are just some, again, kind of like an order of low hanging fruit to higher value add strategies that you can do on different properties. Okay. Now, again, remember, I told you there's a math equation to this. Okay, so we want to understand, sorry guys, that's my 4-footed doorbell. He barks at the mailman every single day, and the mailman goes away. So now he's done barking. All right, so let's get back to the math, guys. So you are rewarded when you drive NOI growth, especially on a multifamily property. Okay. Now remember, we touched on 1 to 4 units. You're probably not rewarded as much in the market. Okay, but let's take a look at the math. Okay, so let's say you have a 150 unit building. Okay, and this, you can apply this math, say, to a 25 unit building. Okay, and you have 150 units, and each unit you're able to increase the rents by $50 a unit. Okay, and still remain $25 under market rent. Okay. All right, so now you've increased the income $90,000 for the year. Okay, now we move on to NOI lever number 2, which is decrease the expenses. Maybe take a look at move property management contracts, look at your vendor contracts. Maybe you have like half-time or full-time employees on the property, and you're able to rework and save 5% on all these things in your payroll and generate another $31,000 in savings. Okay, so it's not all about increasing income, but also decreasing your expenses. All right, now we're going to add additional streams of income. Maybe on this 150 unit, you were able to rent out washer and dryers for, say, like 20, 25 bucks a month. Okay. And then you were able to do valet trash, okay, maybe for $18 a month. And then another fiber internet for like $45 to $50 a month. Okay, that's pretty low usage. And you had 50% utilization across the entire complex for that. And you've added another, I don't know, $100,000 in value here. And your total value across all these levers is $206,500 per year. Okay, so that's the NOI that we've driven on the property. Okay, now let's take a look at what value increase actually happened on the property. Okay, now you've added $206,500 for the year of increased income on the property. Now remember, you probably inflated your expenses. Okay, if you added valet trash, remember you had to pay somebody, for an hour or 1 time a week to go pick up all that trash. If you installed washer and dryer units on the property, you had to buy those units up front. Okay, so we have to look at the net, but let's assume this 206,500 is net. Okay, net income. Now for a multifamily property, you guys, if you own multifamily, you're probably very familiar of the cap rate. Let's say you're in a really competitive market and you bought that property at a 4.5 cap. Okay, that $206,000 of income growth that value add growth that you achieved, divided by 4.5% market cap, leads you to add $4.6 million of value added to the property. Okay, that's profit. Okay, maybe the market over that whole period gets better. So instead of entering at a 4.5, exiting at 4.5, you enter at a 4.5 and you exit at 4.0. Now that value that you drove is worth $5.2 million. Okay. Now let's pretend the market gets worse. It actually goes the other direction. Okay. So still drive, net income of 206,500, but, the properties are trading at a higher cap rate, meaning the market got worse. Okay. You still add $4.1 million of value. Okay. So there's a couple take homes here. One, especially if you have any sort of multifamily property, doing what you can to drive the NOI growth, you are rewarded whether the market goes up, down, or stays the same. Okay, it's just a matter of how much you get rewarded. And this actually helps you protect your initial capital invested. So whether it's your capital, partner's capital, or an other investor's capital. So this is why I really love, helping people understand, how you can protect your capital. All right. So even if you're doing single family properties and you're not here yet, you're not doing small multifamilies or larger multifamily deals, you still are helping protect your capital by adding these additional income streams, decreasing your expenses, because you're going to be able to hold the property longer. All right. So the challenge for you is look at your current portfolio and review if there's simple ways for you to add value. Okay. Increasing rents, decreasing your expenses, moving any utilities you're paying back to the tenant. Even if you don't have those utilities metered, maybe you can do what we call a RUBS process to move those utilities, ratio utility bill back services to the tenant. Are you charging for pet fees and other fees? Okay, so make sure that you're competitive in the market and charging for the fees that you can appropriately charge for. Even on single family properties, all this you can do on single family properties. Are you charging for insurance? Can you, your tenants should be paying renters insurance, okay, to keep their belongings properly insured on the property. Okay, potentially you can take advantage of that as well. All right. Once you got that down, make sure to set up your deal funnel to look for other value added deals. Okay. So step number one, look at your current portfolio, see what you can do, see what you can, tweak there. Even if you're on single family properties, you start, if you get, eventually, if you start at one or two properties and you eventually get a 20 unit portfolio, guess what? When you go to sell off that portfolio, it essentially could be considered a multifamily unit for lending. So NOI now becomes, super critical for you. And then step number two, set up your deal funnel to look for value added deals. And then number three, just get really creative. Okay. As you guys can see, it's not about making huge shifts in development and rehab. It's the small things, consistent increases over time, consistent savings over time. As you scale your portfolio, these things can really add up over time as far as like the entire net worth value of the portfolio. So guys, I hope this was time well spent for you today. Thanks for hanging out with me. My question to you is, do you want help with this? Because if you do, I have a solution for you. We have the Investor Accelerator Mastermind. And in this mastermind, it's for anybody who is just starting out to buy real estate and doing this on the side, hasn't found their first deal, or if you're a more seasoned investor and you've hit a ceiling of achievement and you need to learn how to scale, or shift strategies. This mastermind's for you. So I like to think of it as like legs on a table. Okay, so you have to, if you chop off any one of the legs, the table is going to fall down. So on this table, we are going to provide you, leg number one is going to be the right education. Okay, how can we help you understand, exactly what you should be focusing on to build and scale your portfolio. Leg number two is you have to have that roadmap. Okay, so we're going to set you up with a lean business and investing plan. Okay, so you can get super clear on how you're going to build and scale your business. And then we're going to connect you with all the systems and tools that you need to actually run your business as a business owner rather than be a business operator. Okay, so making sure that you got the systems and the team to surround you. All right, and I'm going to share all my resources with you in this program as well to help you fast track your efforts. And then we are going to, put you in a community where we're, meeting twice a month to talk about your business. How are you doing towards your crafting and achieving your goals? What knowledge can we provide you to help you scale faster? And then also several touch points in between there to help you bust through obstacles and grow. Just think about it. With this education plan and systems and support like this, how far do you think you could scale your investing portfolio? Well, if you're interested, make sure to jump over to ashwealth.com/apply, fill out a quick 10-second application. We'll hop on the phone and make sure that this program is right for you. You guys have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for sharing your most valuable resource, which is your time.